You know how you always hear people talking about building the future? Well, what does that actually look like? Today, we're going to dive into the story of a company that took that idea and ran with it. Like, literally. They didn't just build a new website. They ended up inventing a whole new way of creating things, and their main tool wasn't code. It was words. This is a story about a massive shift in how we build, well, pretty much everything in the digital world.
Seriously, just think about that for a second. Forget all the lines of code, forget the drag and drop builders. What if you could bring a complex, beautiful website to life just by describing it, by communicating what you want with total clarity? It's a wild idea, and it's exactly what we're going to unpack today.
All right, so every good story needs a hero. And ours is a company called Ace Digital Global. And like a lot of fast-growing companies, they were facing a huge problem. We're talking a full-blown identity crisis. The vision they had for the future was just incredible. But their digital presence? Ugh, it was completely stuck in the past.
So here's the disconnect. To the rest of the world, they just looked like another AI agency, with a cool, modern logo. But what was happening behind the scenes was something else entirely. They were building a massive, full-fledged AI operating system. So you see the problem, right? Their digital storefront looked like a small shop, but they were building a revolutionary engine in the back. The two just didn't match up.
So what on earth is an AI operating system anyway? Well, think of it less like a single app and more like a whole foundation for building with AI. For them, it was really a philosophy, and it was built on these four big ideas. First, it had to be driven by systems. Second, it had to be professional, global, ready for big companies. Third, it was all about a true partnership between humans and AI. And finally, it was all guided by a clear founder-led vision. This was the powerful story that their old website was completely failing to tell.
And this quote from the founder, man, it just nails it. This wasn't about just giving the website a fresh coat of paint. This was about completely changing how people saw them. They had to stop looking like just another company that uses AI and start looking like a company that is building the actual infrastructure of our digital future. That is a gigantic leap to make.
Okay, so once they saw the problem that clearly, the solution was kind of obvious. More meetings, more slide decks, more design debates. It was all pointless. If you want to prove you're a company of builders, well, you've got to build something. It was time to switch from just talking to actually doing, but they were going to do it in a totally new way. And here is where things get really clever. They made a pivot. They decided this new website wasn't going to be a marketing project. No way. Instead, they reframed it as Deployment 001, the very first product officially launched by their own AI operating system. They were going to use their own system to build its own public face. Talk about having confidence in your product. So who was actually on this build team? Well, not your typical developers. It was a civilization of specialized AI agents. Think of them like a crew of experts, each with a very specific job. You had Adam, who was kind of the project manager, the orchestrator of the whole thing. Builder was the one who actually wrote the code. Design made sure everything looked right and stayed on brand. Governor was the quality control, the ethics check. And Logger? Well, Logger's job was to record every single thing that happened, creating a perfect audit trail.
And this is how they talked to this AI crew. Not with complicated code, but with these super clear, structured commands they called build orders. And the very first one was just this simple: create a basic homepage. And look at that priority: functional output first, no perfection. The goal wasn't to make it perfect right away. The goal was to get something working, to get the ball rolling fast. Now, working in this completely new way led to this huge aha moment for the founder. It was a philosophical breakthrough, really. It was something that would completely change his role in how things get made, forever.
And there it is. That's the core insight. The founder realized his job wasn't to iterate anymore, to endlessly tweak pixels and lines of code. His new job was to communicate, to get his ideas, his intent, across so perfectly that the AI system could execute it without a flaw. He wasn't the painter, obsessing over every brushstroke. He was the conductor, leading a powerful orchestra.
This big idea even got its own name, the systems communicator. And this isn't your traditional coder. This is someone who works at a much higher level. Their skill isn't in writing the code itself, but in expressing an idea so clearly that they can orchestrate these powerful AI systems to do the building for them. They are literally communicating entire systems into existence.
Okay, but all of this is just a nice philosophy, right? A cool theory. Does it actually work when the rubber meets the road? Well, let's take a look at the results, because this is where theory met reality. And honestly, the speed of it all was just staggering.
I mean, just look at this timeline. Look at the velocity here. They went from V1, which was basically just a functional skeleton, all the way to V5, a polished, enterprise-level website. And this whole evolution happened through a series of really controlled, super rapid deployments. Each new version was a direct response to a new build order, just methodically layering on credibility, then identity, then new features, all without the chaos you normally see in a web project.
So pulling off a successful experiment, that's one thing. But turning it into a repeatable process that anyone can use, that's the real game changer. So the final step was to take this workflow and formalize it into a blueprint for the future.
And what came out of this whole experiment was a blueprint they call communication-driven development. And it's this beautiful, simple 4-step loop. Step 1, you define your intent in a build order. Step 2, the AI agents execute the build. Step 3, and this is so important, a human governs the output. They review it, they provide that crucial oversight and approval. And finally, Step 4, you deploy. It's this perfect mix of AI's speed with essential human judgment.
And to make it official, the whole process was documented or codified in a formal technical architecture brief. Now, this might sound like a boring step, but it's critical. This is what turned one person's unique workflow into a scalable system that anyone in the company could pick up and use. It was the final move in creating a true blueprint for this new way of building things.
And that brings us right back to that big question from the beginning. This entire story points to a future where maybe, just maybe, the most valuable technical skill won't be your ability to code, but your ability to communicate. What if the next generation of great builders aren't just engineers, but are actually conductors and poets and systems communicators? It's a pretty powerful thought, and it's one that might just change everything.